I've been seeing and hearing a lot of resentment lately towards Batman in the comic book spaces, which has been interesting. It's been a combination of general brand fatigue caused by underwhelming material, as well as a modern audience lens on a privileged out-of-touch billionaire beating up on mentally ill people. You know, life is hard and Bruce Wayne is rich and we want to eat the rich and all that. But as a representative of the poors myself, I really don't care about that argument, because I have enough problems already being a Spider-Man fan, but also because I like Superman more than Batman. What can I say? I'm an optimist, so I'd take Metropolis any day over Gotham, and the Kent Farm is a pretty awesome place as well. I'll take that sunshine over Wayne Manor any day. Sorry, Alfred, I'm just not a fan of dark caves and flying rats. And then there is Harley Quinn, the personification of overuse of a character. Harley is what Chris Pratt is to animated movies, or what Pedro Pascal is to everything. That comparison might date this video, so let's fix that. Whenever you see this in the far distant future, just know that Chris Pratt and Pedro Pascal were American aviation pioneers. They are generally credited with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful airplane. But even the invention of the first airplane is a topic in dispute at the moment. Which doesn't matter. Just stop asking me these questions. I'm not your history professor. I'm just trying to talk about Batman and Harley Quinn, okay? Stop bothering me about American history. And no, I do not know if the moon landing was real or a Hollywood production, so you're wasting your time coming to me with all these things. I was not there. Heck, I wasn't even born. Go and ask NASA or something. So where was I before you all rudely interrupted me?
He's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Batman. If you know anything about this channel, you know that I tend to cover everything that is unpopular or out of date in the moment, but the turning tide against Bats and Harley is not enough to get me to talk about them. No. We need one more unpopular, out-of-date ingredient for this stew. An animated movie that everyone seemed to hate. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember the Batman and Harley Quinn movie? That detective buddy road trip adventure featuring two of our favorite Bat-adjacent characters and the Joker's sidekick, former sidekick, whatever. That's the movie. Let's have a quick look at what everyone's favorite tomato had to say about it. Now, see, that's not even fair. There is no reason for this movie to be rotten. Rachel Wagner says this is an absolutely appalling movie. Well, you're an appalling movie. I'm kidding, Rachel, but I'm on my way to making a point. Even Bruce Timm caught a stray in Felix's comment. But I have to say, those are some very strong accusations, and one of them is not even true. Then Jeffrey Lyles felt like the goofy tone, silly sequences, and mature adult themes made the tone feel off. Disagree, but let's see what the positive reviewers had to say. Too crude for comfort is supposed to be a positive review. Okay then. Eric seems to be the most positive comment here, but even he says prudes do not need to watch this. Was it really that bad? So stuffy critics aside, I personally found this movie really light fun at the time, and I'm not one for crude humor, but the instances of that were so few and far apart that I would not call them the movie's defining characteristic. Yes, there were a couple of quick scenes of TNA here and there, which are hardly unique for Harley Quinn across all media, but I think the criticisms of this movie were more about the attitude that people had developed towards Bruce Timm. The bad man in animation who likes hot women. I know that's reductive, but I feel like poking the bear today. There also seemed to be a feeling that, because the designs were similar to Batman the Animated Series, the movie had to adhere to the same type of storytelling as A Mask of the Phantasm, for example. For a quick synopsis, the film started out with Poison Ivy and the Floronic Man breaking into Star Labs to successfully steal some information. What follows is Batman investigating the reason for the break-in, and Nightwing seeking out Harley Quinn, who could possibly help them to find Poison Ivy. From the opening credits, it's very clear that the movie is goofy and humorous, so audiences who were taken aback by the tone after watching that introduction were probably not paying attention. The reason for Harley joining their mission was also very plausible, and the detective scenes were at par with the best of Batman. Certainly leaps and bounds above Pattinson's abilities.
Look at you two, world's greatest detectives! Am I the only one here knows the difference between L and law? Stupid!
There was also well-paced action, which was interspersed through the film evenly, which ramped up the pace of the story when needed and prevented it from getting dull. So this all sounds like a party so far, right? Where could it have gone wrong? Let's continue. The core story has Batman and Nightwing trying to stop an eco-terrorism plot, but the heart of the movie is Harley Quinn's quest for redemption. She's not with the Joker anymore, and she seems to be grieving the loss of her mother all through the movie, which culminates in the end credits, where Harley abandons her life of crime to start her new career as Dr. Phil meets Ninja Warrior, which is consistent with the arc of the film where she was trying to leave her life of villainy behind, but kept falling back deeper into more evil things. Do you get it? Do you get it? Well, the joke here is, she's supposed to be turning her life around and it appears like she succeeded, but she doesn't really because Dr. Phil is evil. Evil Dr. Phil is the punchline. Do you get it now? It's a joke at the expense of Dr. Phil. She tried to stop being a villain, but she failed again because she's now Dr. Phil. You get it? You get it? It's funny because, but seriously now. Harley has a complete character arc in the film which maintained its comedic tone, but ultimately gave her the redemption that she was seeking. She managed to talk her bestie Ivy out of her evil plan and prove to Batman and more importantly herself that she really did have good within her. Something that Batman was initially very skeptical about, and rightly so, which gave that scene at the end a lot more weight. I also thought the decision to end the movie with the Swamp Thing punchline followed by the Floronic Man on fire was really funny. They had struggled to deal with him twice, and their only hope in Swamp Thing ended up falling flat at a crucial moment, so the simple solution that they landed on to deal with such an insurmountable problem was a great way to end it on a laugh. A spark of brilliance, some would say. If we're all being honest, everything that people criticize this movie for would be praised in a Deadpool movie. So I will concede one thing before I get into my problem with how this movie was perceived. For those who had an issue with Nightwing's personality in the film, I'll give you that. For the characters I really like, regardless of the tone of the story, I also do get really upset when they are written out of character. So as much as it didn't bother me here, I can respect that Nightwing fans had a problem with his characterization. That's sufficient justification to dislike a movie from my perspective because go and see how I talk about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. But for the rest of you, I am not letting you slide. Just 2 years after this movie, Warner Bros. Released a new Harley Quinn series that makes this Batman and Harley Quinn movie look like Winnie the Pooh. I gave it a chance and watched the first season and I think a bit of the second season and quickly noped out after that. This show is gratuitously crass, crude, violent and vulgar for no other reason than to feel edgy. The core conceit of the show is similar to the Batman and Harley Quinn movie, where Harley is trying to recover from Joker-induced trauma, but in this show, they chose to revel in villainy and over-sexualization, while taking every opportunity to paint all the heroes as incompetent fools who deserve to be mocked. You know, I hear people love seeing their heroes debased and their villains celebrated. That's what society needs. But I genuinely wonder what Rachel and Felix think about this show. Remember them? Now, if we pull those reviews from the Batman and Harley Quinn movie and posted them on the Harley Quinn show, fist bumps all around. At least there would be accurate representations of this material. And so I'm genuinely asking, the Batman and Harley Quinn movie had a well-written plot that made sense and serviced the fun, light-hearted tone that it was going for, with a brisk buddy adventure across the states. I don't even like stopping a show or a movie for a musical interlude, but this was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It also had a bunch of really well-written and quotable lines.
Come on out, I know you're there. I got good ears. Your hearing gets mighty sharp in Arkham. Things go bump in the night.
The movie betrayed only one character depending on who you ask, and that's even arguable, but it was an overall decent comedy. Was the movie ahead of its time in comparison to the Harley Quinn show, or was it just not crude, crass, violent, and vulgar enough to be beloved by all you degenerates out there? He says with tongue in cheek. Or is everyone just a big ol' hypocrite? Oh, wow, would you look at that? Season 2 got 100% from the critics. I wonder why. I guess being deliberately crude is not so bad after all, is it, Michael? Someone please find Bruce Timm and tell him he was just ahead of his time. That's what he gets for trying to be a pioneer. But that's all? That's my question? Nothing else? Maybe I have a blind spot somewhere? Let me know what I'm missing with my comparison between this show and movie in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. So, for context, this was supposed to be a review of the Batman and Harley Quinn movie, but the more I got into it, the more the double standard with the reviews started to annoy me. Sorry. Bye.